Everyone says Japan is expensive. My actual household budget says the opposite. There are two of us. We spend about 445,000 yen a month. That's roughly $3,000. That total includes my side business costs, and I'll show you exactly where those sit. And about a third of that doesn't go to rent or food or bills. It goes to freedom. Let me show you the real numbers. You've seen the headlines: Tokyo rent, 2,000 yen melons, nobody can afford Japan anymore. You end up assuming that living here means one of two things: you're rich or you're barely hanging on. But those headlines are measuring something else. They're measuring central Tokyo and they're measuring tourist prices. The Japan you actually live in runs on completely different math. You're probably picturing one of those tiny 270 square foot apartments. That's 25 square meters. We have about 650 square feet, 60 square meters for two people. Our rent is under 90,000 yen a month, about $600. That's not a hack, that's not a secret deal. Step outside the postcard and that is simply a normal number. First, what does it cost to just exist here? Rent, food, utilities, phone, household supplies, insurance, add all of it up. About 233,000 yen a month, around $1,550 for two people. One line inside that number deserves a second look because it's the one people get wrong about Japan. Food is 90,000 yen a month, about $600. That's 20% of everything we spend, tied with rent as our biggest line. Japan has a reputation for cheap food. That reputation is out of date. It feels to me like food costs about 1.5 times what it did a few years ago. Lunch out is 1,100 yen now, around $7. Finding a meal under 1,000 yen has become hard. Even a bowl of ramen is over 1,000 yen. Cooking dinner at home still runs about 600 yen per person. And if the two of us eat out for dinner, we're past 6,000 yen. I should be straight about this number because it says more about us than about Japan. 90,000 is high for a Japanese household, and it's high because of how we eat. We eat out and we buy a lot of prepared food, cook everything from scratch, and this line would be 50 or 60,000 instead. We know that. We're not doing it. This isn't fine dining. It's just the part of the day I don't want to spend an hour on. This is the line we chose not to optimize. Now look at where the money doesn't go. We don't own a car. Trains go everywhere in Japan. When we really need one, we borrow my parents. Think about everything that one decision deletes. No car payment, no insurance on it, no fuel, no parking, no inspections, no repairs, no tires. In a lot of countries, that single line is the difference between saving money and not saving money. Here, the trains just make the whole thing optional. That is not frugality. That is infrastructure doing the work for me. We don't buy savings-type insurance. All of our insurance together is 6,000 yen a month, about $40. Our phone plan is a budget line from one of the major carriers. Communications for the entire household, 6,000 yen. And we use Furusato Nozai. It's a Japanese program where tax you were going to pay anyway comes back to you as food. None of this is extreme. We're not suffering. We're just declining the defaults that everybody else buys automatically. Here's the part nobody expects. Look at where the rest of it goes. Travel, about 83,000 yen a month. That's 1 million yen a year, around $6,700. Learning and tools, which I call investing in myself, 60,000 yen a month. I should be clear about what sits inside that line. It isn't only books and courses. My side business runs out of it too. The subscriptions, the software, the things I build with. I don't keep separate books for the business, so it lives here in the household budget with everything else. If you're measuring this against your own spending, that's the line to adjust. Those two together are about 143,000 yen, roughly a third of everything we spend. Travel is our third biggest expense. It is bigger than utilities, household supplies, and insurance combined. And that is the entire point. A cheap base doesn't make me a cheap person. A cheap base is what lets me buy the expensive things that are actually worth it. That money used to go to Namakai, the after-work drinking parties you're more or less expected to attend here. I stopped going and I moved that money to learning. I'll be honest about one of those expensive things. My AI subscription costs more than my phone bill and my insurance combined, every month. It's genuinely expensive and I'm not giving it up. That's what a cheap base is for. When something is worth it, the price isn't the thing that decides. Most people do the exact opposite. They raise the rent, they buy the car, and then there's nothing left for the plane ticket. Keep the base boring so the top can be free. Spending that travel money taught me something I could not have learned any other way. I keep looking for a country that feels cheaper than Japan. There aren't many left. In the United States, food felt like about 3 times Japanese prices. I can give you the moment it landed: 3 onigiri, which are rice balls, and 3 pieces of fried chicken, about $20. And that was a specialist onigiri shop, not a convenience store. The same order at a specialist shop in Japan is around 1,000 yen. Call it 3 times, give or take. Dubai felt about 1.5 times, Hong Kong close to double. Thailand was the only place that felt cheaper, maybe two-thirds. But the strange part is this: hotels did not follow the same rule at all. American hotels felt only slightly more expensive than Japanese ones. Food 3 times, hotels barely a difference. I don't have a clean theory for that. I'm telling you what the receipts looked like, and now I see the other side of it without leaving home. I run into visitors from abroad basically every day. Maybe it's the food, maybe it's the weak yen, probably both. The rest of the world seems to have noticed something about Japanese prices before a lot of us living here did. And the thing I remember most from Thailand wasn't a price at all. I watched someone give up their seat to an older passenger, not a priority seat, just a regular one on their own. I watched someone buy food and carry it over to a person living on the street, nothing asked for in return. I don't see that often at home. It moved me more than anything I bought on that trip. That's the part a spreadsheet never catches. A cheap country isn't the same as a poor one, and an expensive country isn't always a generous one. So now I plan trips around that math. Next on my list is Vietnam or Malaysia, somewhere that still feels reasonable. I'd love to see Australia. I keep assuming it's out of range and I've never even checked. Which is its own kind of answer if I'm honest. How does this hold up over time? There are two quiet engines underneath it. Engine 1, because the base is low, investing doesn't hurt, it's mostly global index funds. I started in 2020 with about 10% of my savings, just to test it. The first split was half an S&P 500 fund, half a global index fund. I didn't pick that on a feeling. I picked it on two pieces of arithmetic. Historically, take any 20-year window and that kind of holding hasn't lost. And 20 years from now, I'd still only be in my 50s. I had the time to let the history do the work. If I were starting today, I'd put all of it in the global fund instead. Same logic, wider net. Back then, if it moved by 100,000 yen, I'd check my phone every single morning. 5 years later, I watched it drop more than a million yen in 1 week, and I barely reacted. That calm isn't talent. That's just what 5 years of looking at the same chart does to you. Engine 2, and this is the honest part. In Japan, there's a famous number, 30 million yen, about $200,000, and you can retire. Every country has its own version of that number. I got that number from a video in 2020 the same way a lot of people did. The math in it was simple: put 30 million yen in the market, draw 4% a year, and that's 1.2 million yen, 100,000 a month. Cover whatever's left with part-time work, delivery driving, something flexible. I believed it, I built toward it. Inflation broke that math. The number that bought you freedom in 2020 does not buy it in 2026. The goal was never a magic number. The goal was a low base that I can control. Years ago, I met someone who was already living that way. Investments, covering the bills, moving between places, a few months in Okinawa, then up to Hokkaido. I didn't understand it at the time. I remember thinking that isn't how life works. It stayed with me anyway. And somewhere in there, I stopped asking how much I would need and started asking how little I could need. One move for this week: don't cut the latte, cut one big default, pick one, the car you don't really need, the insurance that's quietly a bad deal, the apartment that's bigger than your life. Drop one default, then point that money at something you'll actually remember at the end of your life. I pointed mine at plane tickets. I throw almost everything away. I'm not sentimental about objects, but I bought a small model of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai and I've never been able to get rid of it. I look at it and the same thought shows up every time. Could I ever live there? I can't, not on what I make now. But the thought keeps coming back, and I'd rather own that than whatever I would have bought instead. That's what the plane tickets are really for. This channel is built on real numbers from actually living in Japan. Costs, math, and the thinking behind them. This is educational content. It is not financial advice. So tell me, what's one default you could drop right now?